that. Israel really can't do anything other than bomb Iran, ballistic missiles and bombing, air-launched cruise missiles and such as that. It's not going to do it. It's not going to work. It's simply not going to work. There'll be some damage done. There'll be some toll in Tehran and elsewhere in the outlying territories where the nuclear facilities are and such. But it's not going to work. So what do you do then? I've wargamed this. I wargamed it with the Lieutenant General in the Marine Corps, who took great censure from his own buddies in the Pentagon. He was retired at the time, but he used to be my boss when I was down at Quantico War College. And he said we would lose. He wargamed it. He ran the war game 2 times just to prove that the computers were not wrong. I think he's right. I think one of the things the Iranians will do is take out a U.S. aircraft carrier. That's 5,000 U.S. souls on the bottom of the sea or in the water. And incidentally, we now have so few escorts for our CVs, our aircraft carriers, that let's say there are 2,000 sailors in the water, we couldn't rescue them all because we don't have berth space on the escort ships. Interesting development there. We can't even man some of our ships because we're so short in terms of recruiting. I think it would be a disaster. And what do we do when we get into a disaster like that? It's America. We don't back away. We don't retrench. We don't check our six and look around and say, maybe we made an error. We double down. That's what we'll do. And then it will be a full-fledged war. And if you liked Iraq and you liked Afghanistan, Iran will top $10 trillion, take 10 years to pacify, if it's even moderately pacified, and cost a fortune in blood and treasure.
You're talking about ground force. You're talking about ground forces going in?
That's the only way you rid the country of a nuclear.
Yeah, that's true. But where do they go in from? Iraq?
Well, you'd have to sit down and do what we did in the Pacific when we were. I actually had the war plan for taking on the Soviets in Iran. You recall, we were very worried about them looking for a warm water port around Chabahar or Bandar Abbas. A typical Russian Empire thing to do. Go back and check the history of the Russian Empire. We thought that was the case. So out in the Pacific, the force provider for all of this, we were war planning for fighting the Russians, the Soviets, inside Iran in the Zagros Mountains and elsewhere. I know that terrain really well. It's not Iraq. Very different country. Great strategic depth. 53% Persian. Great homogeneity amongst that 53%. A lot of problems around the periphery, but basically a homogeneous population. 10 years, $10 trillion. And you still haven't solved what you wanted to solve, which was to defeat the nation, any more than you did.
I'm just curious, where would the ground troops go in from? I have a hard time believing the Iraqi government, which is allied with Iran and Shia.
We are illegal under international law and under our own domestic law. We are illegally present in Syria right now.
Yeah, that's true.
We're there protecting oil going to Israel.
That's right.